The Ministry of Education, Youth and Information is committed to ensuring that every Jamaican child has the best learning environment to thrive and needs your cooperation to make the education system work successfully.
What are the school's voluntary contributions for?
Co-curricular and sports activities and school development.
What amount are parents to contribute?
Your contributions are voluntary and the amount depends on the type of programs being offered by the school.
If my child is being denied access to school, can I complain to the ministry?
Yes. You can call or visit any of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information's 6 regional offices or send an email to complaints@moey.gov.jm.
What support is there for PATH students?
PATH students are not expected to make contributions and are to be provided with 5 days free lunch as of this year.
Parents and guardians, do continue to make your voluntary financial contributions to your children's school. The institutions need your assistance for their school development and sporting activities. Remember, every child can learn. Every child must learn.
Thanks for joining us for Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. Today we talk education. We have with us the Director of Education Programs at the Jamaica National Foundation, Dr. Renee Rattray. And we want to talk about one of the exciting programs it has, the iLead program, a program which is run in association with the Ministry of Education. We thank you very much for your company. Dr. Rattray, good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
Let's talk about this iLead program. What exactly is it? How does it work?
Okay, so iLead is a comprehensive school improvement program.
School improvement
It
program.
is. We believe that schools need support in order to be able to improve themselves and to reflect on what they do and to be better. So what we do is we offer leadership support and training to the school boards, the school principals, the vice principals, all that, the middle leaders who we believe are the engines of the school. They're the ones who interface with teachers and ensure that learning happens on a daily basis. The grade coordinators, the deans of discipline, anybody with influence in the school. Those are the people who we work with to build their capacity, to help them to create the kind of culture that will make sure that learning happens. So we invest a great deal of time with helping the school to create a strategic plan. We call it a turnaround plan. So it's not that plan that sits on your shelf, but it's one that has a life and that they use to set targets for themselves with some real key low-hanging fruit that can help them to change things and change things quickly. So we start there with that strategic planning exercise, and then we help them to just raise expectations and help them to...
Do you target particular types of schools?
Right, so yes, we're in schools that are not performing as well as they need to be. They're schools that have been rated as unsatisfactory by the National Education Inspectorate. We only have one that is satisfactory but still needed our support, but all the others are schools that are not performing as well as they need to be.
Okay.
And they're right now the schools we're in are in Region 2, which is Portland, St. Thomas and St. Mary. And that area, that region has been dubbed as one of the regions that needs the most support. So we opted to go there because it has the greatest challenge and the greatest need. And yeah, so that's where we are.
And how long have you been working with those schools?
We started in 2014, so we're going into our 3rd year with them. So what we did it on a phased basis. We had 5 begin with us in 2014, and then we added the other 5 in 2015. And yes, we hope to take them all the way up to the end of 2017, so it will be a 3-year program.
Yes.
But prior to this, the iLead project, Jamaica National partnered with Victoria Mutual Building Society, our rivals, to do...
That's good.
Yes,
education is so important that you came together.
It's a team sport.
Yes.
It's a team sport is what I say. And so we targeted, we spent $100 million, each building society contributed $50 million to the effort, and it was over 5 years. We chose 6 schools, and they were spread all across Jamaica. Okay. And those were all high schools at the time. And we did pretty much a similar type of intervention in those schools.
What kinds of results?
Oh, Lord. So they're my babies. I feel very proud of some of the work that has happened in most of those schools. So Green Pond High School, Godfrey Stewart High School, they're completely different places today.
And those were low-performing schools?
Completely low-performing schools. At Godfrey Stewart, no child passed mathematics.
None?
Maybe 1 or 2 occasionally. Godfrey Stewart High School had a great leader who started at the same time that our project became involved in the school, and his name is Theobald Ferrer, and I think I celebrate him all the time because he's truly embraced this whole thing about what effective leadership means and can do, not just for a school and for students, but for a community. So Godfrey Stewart used to be, he tells a story about having gotten there and the boys were dropping chairs on top of his head, didn't want him to be there. He would have to go into the community to bring the students to school, and not just the students, but the teachers who were lingering and not coming to school. Punctuality and attendance were dismal. The parents did not support the school, and underperformance was just rampant, and failure was expected. And he and his team, because he was able to build a really strong team who are all fired up, and they're still there today working really hard at making sure that the standards are maintained. So he determined that he put in a no tolerance, zero tolerance policy. Failure is not accepted. This is not. You cannot come in here unless you behave the way we are telling you. You need to behave if you want to get the results that you want. He ruffled a lot of feathers. The teachers were not happy in the very beginning because it's change, and change is so difficult. And he really didn't care. I actually had to begin to reel him in as his coach and to tell him, all right, no, you're hard on the students, but you need to know, take it easy on the teachers and kind of nurture them, and after you have laid down the law. And I mean, a year ago, I went to the National Mathematics Teacher Award ceremony, and when it was announced, the Teacher of the Year was announced, the person who won the award was from Godfrey Stewart High School. The head of the math department was the best math teacher in Jamaica. He has tripled the test score, the math performance at Godfrey Stewart High School. So I think 90-something children passed math. 90. And it has been improving over time, coming from zero.
So it shows that transformation can take place. It
can take place. It has taken place. I've researched and visited schools all over the world, and I want
to catch up with some of that research. Renee Rattry, so much passion in talking about education transformation. We're talking about the iLead program, which is a program done in association, in coordination with the Jamaica National Foundation and the Ministry of Education. We take a break, but we'll be right back.
We have championed e-learning in Jamaica, provided state-of-the-art technology in over 200 educational institutions, developed materials for CSEC, piloted the Tablets in Schools project in 38 schools, including infant and primary, and trained thousands of teachers in technology integration. We are e-Learning Jamaica Company Limited, ELJAM, an agency of the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology. Visit our website, www.elearnja.org.
Director of Education Programs at the Jamaica National Foundation, Dr. Renee Rattry, is our guest. Yes, so you were telling us about some research on education transformation.
Yeah, I mean, I think wherever you go and find schools that are not performing as best as they can,
yes.
it really comes down to an issue of low expectations, and low expectations all around. Low expectations of teachers for students, of teachers, principals for teachers, of parents, of what the school can do and what their children can do. And there's this acceptance that, you know, this is how the thing's set.
Yes, it's true.
And it really is something that in the course of transformation and school improvement is the first thing that has to be broken. This notion of we can do it and that every child has the potential to learn and to improve.
That's the first breakthrough you have to have.
Breakthrough. Because as we get in there, one of the very first things that any school that I go into tells me is that the children, the parents are the problem. Yes. It's where them come from. True. It is all of those, you know,
those challenges
are
all
the time.
And
they're extremely real. And I mean, I'm in schools every day, so I see how difficult it is. I mean, and the conditions that many teachers have to work in. But I've also seen so many teachers who make those conditions work well for students and make them become great people. And so many Jamaicans, and I've heard you interview many people who have been in situations where they've been completely deprived and in dysfunctional and very challenging circumstances, and yet have come to school and found it to be a place where they have been nurtured, and that there's this one person or this one teacher who believed in them and who made them.
So it's possible for the school to be an oasis of discipline and order in the midst of the chaos and dysfunctionality?
I mean, that's our
possible.
role. Absolutely.
You know of examples like that?
Oh, for sure. And I see, you know, people every single day who benefit from that, and circumstances that are exactly as you just described. You know, we just have to understand that there has to be a culture shift. Students want structure. They want routines. Absolutely, yes, we all do. We all need a little bit of that in.
We need it. But do they want it?
They do. They don't want to be in an environment. Parents don't want their child to go to a school that anything can happen. Parents want a place, and we think that the parents don't care. It's not true. They want their children to be in a place that is very well managed, and you can tell. I can walk into a school, and in 2 minutes, I can tell you if there's management here or if management is lax. So it is important for routines to be established, and in good schools, in great schools, that's what sets them apart. There are systems and there are procedures. They build the capacity of the people, and they establish procedures. And when you establish procedures and routines, then everybody moves along. A principal could go and not be around. There could be no principal, but if a school has some good systems that have been established and that work over time, that's what, you know, there's some strong traditions in some of the schools that we have in Jamaica today that we consider good schools that keep happening no matter what. I could go back to my alma mater tomorrow and I would see some of the very same things that happened then and that they're still happening now. And many of our schools that are not performing as well need to teach their students what their way of doing things is, because culture is created, culture can be broken, and it can be developed. It has to be a deliberate thing.
What are some of the key things that you try to inculcate when you go into these underperforming schools?
Consistency is one of the key things that we teach. You cannot walk past a boy whose tie is untied and say nothing. Or one teacher can't speak one language and then the next teacher allow another student to get away with something. You have to be on it all the time. There's no time to give people a break, to cut them some slack. If you mean business, you have to mean business. You have to be punctual. You have to start on time. You have to create consequences for actions.
So accountability.
Accountability has to be there. We have a very serious informal culture that seeps right into our schools, and it is where heads of department, for example, are terrified of reprimanding their teachers. So teachers can come in late 100 times for the year. We don't value learning enough, and we don't treat it as sacred. We don't understand that 10 minutes of every lesson adds up. When you saunter to class and you don't get there on time, or you take days off, and the students are the ones who suffer in the end, and the students really do not have the time to waste. They are the ones who need it, and some teachers tell students that they have what them have already.
They do
So
that.
this is not about them, right? They tell them that, and I find it grossly unfair. I think that our students deserve our best every day, and they want it. And it's something that we have to work hard to get our teachers to bring their A game to school all the time, and our administrators to hold them to account. We also have to hold our students to account. You know, we have to make them take responsibility for their own learning, and we don't do enough of that. We tend to do everything for them, and we talk to them, and we don't make them become a part of the learning experience so that they enjoy it and they feel empowered to be a part of school and to be proud of the school that they're in, and to want to work hard. When I go to some schools, I'm like, I would never want to be in this place. I would never want to sit in this class with this man or this woman and have them talk to me every day.
Yeah.
We never engage them and allow them to work together or to come up with ideas on their own. So it really is a shift in culture for us. A lot of our teachers become very demotivated over time because they work hard, and then they feel that they don't see the results. But the teachers have to reinvent themselves as well. You know, they have to be learning all the time, even outside of school, and not waiting for a professional development session to do something. We encourage our teachers in our schools to collaborate, to watch each other teach, to sharpen the saw. You know, surgeons have to watch other surgeons in order to sharpen their craft. Same thing goes for a pilot and a co-pilot. They have to sit next to them and be guided, and I don't find that we do that enough in our space. So what we do is that we take our principals and our middle leaders and senior teachers out to other schools that are performing well. We pair them with leaders who are doing good work in their schools, and we have them shadow them and learn from them and ask them for ideas and call them, because it's hard. I was a principal, so I would have to call enough up myself on some of those great principals who I'd heard of, even my own former principals, and I'd ask them, help me with this. I don't know what I'm doing. And we have to be always learning. And when we model that behavior, I think it becomes easier for teachers to try and to request assistance and to not be as closed. And you know, I'm on a mission to kind of rebrand our profession, and to professionalize the profession. Can I say that? Because it's important for teachers to take this thing seriously and to set real serious goals for themselves and for their students and for the schools.
Very strong admonition as we near the start of the school year. Dr. Renee Rattray is Director of Education Programs at the Jane Foundation, and one of those programs is the iLead program, and an interesting program of intervention with underperforming schools. We thank you for your company on Issues and Answers. Next week, I'll be back. Until then, Ian Bourne wishing you a pleasant day.
Parents, did you know your involvement can make a difference in your child's education? Yes, by simply checking on their progress with teachers, assisting with homework, and playing a part in the school community, children are encouraged to do well.
All the studies show that parental involvement with their children in school leads to success. And there's no other way. Parents must take the time.
Succeed at last.
So much has been done by the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information to advance learning of deaf students. And with me to talk about these achievements is Education Officer within the Ministry, Christina Addington. Welcome, Mrs. Addington.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me a bit about the different stages of hearing loss and how it affects the ability to learn in the traditional school system.
Okay, well, Andrew, hearing loss occurs on a continuum based going from hard of hearing to deafness. And on this continuum, there are different levels. So we start off with a mild hearing loss, then you can have a moderate loss, a severe loss, or a profound loss. It's important to note that it is the level of loss being experienced by the child that really impacts on if the child is able to be educated in the traditional system or if the child has to be educated in a segregated system. For children who experience mild hearing losses, for the most part, they're able to cope and experience success in the regular school system. But for this to happen, there have to be a couple factors that have to be in place. Firstly, the student has to be amplified, fitted with hearing aids. The child has to be in a small school setting, most importantly, in a small class size, so that there's not a lot of background information to distort information being shared between teacher and the students in the classroom environment. Another thing is the teacher working with a child has to ensure that she or he utilizes specific strategies that will help the child maximize whatever residual hearing that the child has. So things like placing the child at the front of the class. The teacher has to also remember he or she cannot turn their backs to the class while teaching. They have to ensure that they always have the child's attention, let the child know when they're speaking to them. And the greatest thing I think also is that the parents have to be very, very involved, because once there's great parent involvement in the educational life of the child with a mild loss, then this will better ensure success.
So Mrs. Addington, how many specialized schools are there for these students?
Well, to date, we have 7 special education schools for the deaf across the island in Jamaica. We have 3 public schools which are operated in partnership between the Ministry of Education and the Jamaica Association for the Deaf. These are the Danny Williams School for the Deaf. They are in Kingston, in Pope Estate, Papine, and they have 2 satellites. One, a preschool center, which is attached to the school, and another unit class at the Excelsior Primary School. The St. Christopher School for the Deaf is also a primary school, and that school is in Brownstown, St. Anne, and it has a boarding facility. And Lister Mayor Gilby High School for the Deaf is the high school for the deaf. And that school has 2 satellites, so they have a satellite in Maypen and they have a satellite in Port Antonio. The other 4 schools are private schools. They are the Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf. They operate 3 schools, one in St. James, one in Manchester, and one in Kingston, and the Jamaica Christian School for the Deaf, and they operate in Lethe, St. James.
So how has the ministry been advancing the learning of these students in these particular institutions?
Well, the ministry has been playing its part. For the most part, there is greater interaction and greater support to the public schools. One of the things that the ministry has done a couple of years ago, through discussions, the special education unit lobbied for posts of teachers' assistants to be established for the schools, special schools, and so the schools for the deaf, all the schools for the deaf, public schools, they got teachers' assistants. It's important to note that these teachers' assistants, they're not called teachers' assistants in the schools for the deaf, but they're called deaf culture facilitators. So although their role is to assist in helping the teachers to bring across the concepts, they also have another, which is a more important role, which is they are the deaf models for the children. The children are deaf, they are deaf, so the children have models and they display the culture, the deaf culture. So then and there, the children are seeing and learning about their culture and learning that it is okay to be deaf. They're deaf and it's a part of life and how they can succeed. The ministry also has put in place quality education circles, and all the schools for the deaf are engaged in a quality education circle. So the principals meet with administrators from other schools, they share information, and so the principals are able to learn and get advice and share information. The High School for the Deaf has benefited from being placed on the e-learning Jamaica project, and so all the teachers there have been trained and are better equipped to, infuse the technology into the teaching learning process.
So what are the advantages of learning in these specialized institutions?
Main advantage, I would say, is at the schools for the deaf, the pupil-teacher ratio is 8:1. So we talk about 8 students to 1 teacher. Now, when you compare that with a regular school system where it's 1:35, but in most cases 1:40 or some more, we can say that the children are in a setting which makes concessions that they cannot hear, so they need more time to be spent interacting, engaging in learning. That the teachers, for the most part, in these institutions are special education trained. So the teachers are trained in deaf education, and while in school they have what they call in-service training, or the Jamaica Association for Deaf provides training in them gaining Jamaican Sign Language competence. So we know that the teachers, are being trained to effectively communicate with the children. So they're getting the information because it's being effectively passed on to them in a manner which they understand. The methodologies used are methodologies which are specific for enhancing learning with the population. And as I say, small setting, persons know and better understand them and are better able to work with them.
Perfect note to end on, and signs for you to follow up on. We want to thank Mrs. Christina Addington from the Special Education Unit in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information for sharing with us today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, until next time, see you around.
Here's your tip for the week. We shall never know all the good that a simple smile can do. So put a smile on your face every day of the week. We've come to the end of Jamaica Magazine for this Sunday. Thanks for spending time with us. Remember to keep up to date with the latest government information. Join us online at jis.gov.jm or watch our programs on our YouTube channel. Be sure to check out our other social media platforms. On behalf of all of us here at the JIS, I am Adrian Atkinson. Happy Sunday.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.